worked every day with him. He never gave up.
Hi, my name's Hayley and this is Justin, and we are Kane's parents. So a little bit of history about Kane is he was born on a reservation in Montana, and he was living with his parents until he was 5 months old. And that time they had shooken him and given him a brain injury. So he was removed from them and placed with his aunt and her boyfriend and her children. He lived with them from the time that he was 5 months old until he was 9 months old. Had 15 broken bones, had been starved, pretty much left in this back room, and just left there. And they had also shaken him, causing yet another brain injury. And that one was so severe that he had to be rushed to the hospital to have surgery, to have a VP shunt placed in order to drain the fluid and the blood from around his brain. And once that was done, he was placed into foster care. He was with another foster family who took wonderful care of him, whom we love dearly. We still have contact with her. And she took care of him for a month, and when she found out his case was moving to adoption, they decided to have him go somewhere that could possibly adopt him. And so that's when he came to our house. We always joke that we just found him in a parking lot, because we actually drove for 4 hours for a medical appointment for Justin, and while we happened to be there, his previous foster mom just met us at the hospital parking lot, and we just swapped out in cars. She came with a baby and left without one, and we came without a baby and drove home with one. And so once we got home, our first step was really to kind of get him into his appointment at Denver Children's Hospital to figure out what we were looking at, because we didn't really know. And that first appointment was just a whirlwind. He saw an ophthalmologist who told us that he was nearsighted and he would more than likely lose his vision at some point in his life. We had, I think he saw 8 different doctors that day, and they all told us how far behind he was, that he wasn't meeting any milestones. So he was almost a year old at this point, and essentially functioning as like a 3 or 4 month old.
They essentially told us that he'd probably end up in a wheelchair, and don't be surprised if we'd have to spoon feed him the rest of his life.
So then Justin got to take over and do all the hard work.
Yeah, I would, 4 therapies a week? We had occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, what was the other one?
Play therapy.
Play therapy. It was a lot of work. He went from being able to essentially kind of be able to pull himself around on the floor with his right arm, and that was it, to me working with him at physical therapy. I mean, I used to wear I don't even know what it's called. It's some kind of apparatus that he could use my legs so I could help teach him to walk. I worked every day with him. He never gave up. He'd, of course, not want to do some things, but man, he'd keep at it. At it every day. And now he's
now
amazing.
You look at him and you would have never even remotely thought that he went through any of this. He's 5 now. He just turned 5 at the beginning of last month. He's still in special education services at school. Unfortunately, he will probably need special education services for the rest of his life. But he was in a developmental class last year because he just wasn't functioning at that level. This year he's not even in a developmental class. He's in a gen ed class with all his same peers, and he's doing wonderfully.
He goes outside, he jumps on the trampoline. He can now ride a bicycle. He learned how to ride a bicycle without me having to do much to teach him.
Learn faster than our 7-year-old.
He asked me one day, Dad, can you take off my training wheels? And I told him, I said, I can, but you're gonna fall, bud. He goes, I don't care, I want to. So we went out there and took them off. By the end of the day, he could ride his bicycle without training wheels.
He never stops talking.
No.
He's obsessed with dinosaurs. He plays with his little brother. They're outside all the time.
Playing with the dogs.
We know we have a long ways to go. There's going to be obstacles. We just started seeing some of the behavioral issues that are probably due to his brain injury. And we're handling those, and we're going to handle it just like we did all his other stuff. But he really is a miracle. He's walking, talking, eating, feeding himself. Everything they said he would never do, he's here doing.